These trading platforms, they call themselves exchanges, are commingling a number of functions which in traditional finance, we don't see the New York Stock Exchange also operating a hedge fund, making markets, and as we alleged in Binance, having a sister organization, flooding the platform with transactions called wash trading.
2 lawsuits were just filed by the SEC against Binance and Coinbase. Yes, you heard that right. 2 of the largest crypto exchanges are in hot water again. You see, back in April, the SEC sued Bittrex for operating an illegal securities exchange. And anyone who can read a room, or in this case, a legal document, could have seen this coming. Because in the SEC's eyes, just existing as a crypto exchange in the US is pretty much illegal. The SEC's position has been murky at best, almost like they've been complicit in allowing illegal activity to occur, only to turn around and sue. Put in a legal context, if you are selling securities in the US over an exchange that you own, you better register that exchange with the SEC. Of course, neither Coinbase nor Binance were registered. First off, I know what you're all thinking. This is just like FTX. Well, it's actually not, because FTX got caught with their hands in the cookie jar, effectively stealing funds from their users. Whereas Coinbase and Binance are being spanked for running an illegal securities exchange, which FTX could have gotten nabbed for, and they probably would have eventually. So it's less about outright stealing for Coinbase and Binance, and it's more about bending the rules until they resemble a pretzel. Now, let's be clear. Coinbase, by all appearances, seems to be the angel child of the crypto world. It went public last year, filed disclosures with the SEC, and even was audited by Deloitte Touche. Yet the SEC says, sorry, not good enough. You're running a securities exchange and you didn't ask us permission. On the other hand, Binance is the black sheep. It's headquartered, well, nowhere really, and it's structured to make a spider's web look straightforward, all in an effort to dodge regulation. It even got sued by the CFTC in March for letting big shot US customers trade on its exchange through offshore affiliates. The SEC is not just pointing fingers, it's throwing a whole book of accusations at Binance. They're being blamed for wash trading, commingling customers' assets, failing to do enough KYC, and other shady activities. I mean, even their chief compliance officer was quoted as saying, "We are operating a fucking unlicensed securities exchange in the USA, bro." Not the best approach, guys. In Coinbase's case, it's not like they were sitting back and sipping on a martini. They made committees, procedures, and paperwork that can put a bureaucratic office to shame, all to pretend they were running a legal crypto exchange. So here's the SEC's argument in a nutshell. If you're in the US and you're running an exchange that offers securities trading, you need to register it with the SEC. And make sure that the securities you're enabling the trading for are registered as well. Coinbase and Binance, by offering trading of crypto tokens that are securities, are in violation of this requirement. Now, of course, they're trying to say that these are not securities. The SEC and these exchanges have a different view of what a security is, and the deciding factor boils down to what they call the Howey test. Think of it like a coin flip of the crypto world, but it needs to satisfy 4 points, and then boom, it's a security. If it doesn't satisfy all 4 points, well, it's not a security. So here are the 4 points of the Howey test. First, you got to ask yourself, is there an investment of money? Secondly, is that investment of money going towards a common enterprise? Thirdly, is there an expectation of profits? And then lastly, are those profits solely coming from the efforts of others? If the answer to all 4 of these questions is yes, well, then it is a security, which effectively spells out what most of these cryptocurrencies are. So let's get into the Binance lawsuit that just dropped. The first item of the lawsuit alleges that Binance disregarded the law while enriching themselves to the tune of billions. Then in item 6, they have Binance's chief compliance officer stating, "We do not want Binance to be regulated ever," putting in writing their plans to avoid the law, which ends up being a theme throughout this entire suit. In item 8, similar to the CFTC lawsuit against Binance, it's alleged that the company got creative to allow Americans to trade on the exchange. They have Binance's CCO, that's the chief compliance officer, saying, "On the surface, we cannot be seen to have US users, but in reality, we should get them through other creative means." This chief compliance officer for Binance reminds me a lot of that scene from Breaking Bad.
Seriously, when the going gets tough, you don't want a criminal lawyer, right? You want a criminal lawyer.
In item 27, the SEC alleges that all of Binance's operations are owned by Zhao and that he refuses to identify a headquarters, saying, wherever I sit is the Binance office, wherever I meet somebody is going to be the Binance office. Then in item 30, we learn that CZ paid himself $62.5 million from Binance's bank account, which the suit claims is a problem because CZ is not registered with the SEC. Similarly, in item number 190, that lawsuit states that one of the market makers, controlled by CZ, transferred out funds to buy a yacht. And then there's various items alleging that the company was wash trading, and there's also various items talking about how Binance was commingling users' funds. Binance reacted within the eye of the storm, firing back with all the pomp and circumstance of a high school debate team. We are disappointed that the SEC chose to file a complaint, they say. We will vigorously defend our business and the industry. They argue that they have not operated as an unregistered securities exchange and that their BNB coin is more of a local currency in the world of Binance. I guess, according to them, it's as much a security as a ham sandwich is a threat to national security. In Binance's eyes, the SEC's actions are less about protecting investors and more about grabbing a headline or two. In fact, CZ went to Twitter with a bunch of tweets reminding me of Steve Buscemi's character in The Wedding Singer. In one case, he asked, who is better at protecting investors, the SEC or Binance? As if that's a remotely reasonable question to be asking people on Twitter. And just one day later, the SEC has gone and filed with the DC courts to get a temporary restraining order to freeze Binance US assets. They claim it's necessary to ensure the safety of customer assets and prevent any dissipation, let's say, of available assets for any judgment. Back to Coinbase, their CEO went to Twitter to say the following. The SEC reviewed our business and allowed us to go public in 2021. And there's no path to come in and register. We tried repeatedly, so we don't list the securities. The SEC and the CFTC have made conflicting statements and don't even agree on what a security is and what a commodity is. And then lastly, this is why Congress is introducing new legislation to fix the situation. Now, of course, the SEC commented on the public listing in their lawsuit, saying in item 111, declaring effective a Form S-1 registration statement does not constitute an SEC or staff opinion on or endorsement of the legality of an issuer's underlying business. In other words, they're saying that because we allowed you to go public on a US exchange, it doesn't mean that we actually condone what you're doing within that individual company. Now, I have to say, in Coinbase's defense, I can't wrap my head around this either. Why did the SEC let Coinbase list their exchange on the NASDAQ in the first place? What has changed since Coinbase went public to today? If the SEC's job is to protect investors, why are they allowing a company to list on a stock exchange that is severely breaking their own rules? Now, we got to get into some of the reactions on social media. Perhaps the most popular anti-crypto account out there, Bitfinex, says Binance can't win this case against them. Their business model is wash trading shitcoins, and all that wash trading has finally caught up with them. Dirty Bubble does a victory lap after proving that Binance was regularly transferring assets between Binance US and Binance nearly a month ago. A well-deserved victory lap, as Mike is one of the few people on FinTwit that's tracking the blockchain and has been on top of pretty much all of the biggest scandals in the space. Bennett Tomlin comments that Binance said in their news release that they passed on an easy settlement with the SEC, reminding us that the SEC typically loves settlements. And Cameron Winklevoss of Facebook fame, who has his own set of problems right now in the crypto world, says that if the SEC isn't suing you, then you probably aren't doing something right. Sure, Cameron. And lastly, Cathie Wood started buying up Coinbase stock in the face of the price declining and basically crashing yesterday. So how does this all play out from here? Well, Matt Levine over at Bloomberg says that there's 5 possible scenarios. The first 2 are pretty much the same. They start with the SEC winning the lawsuit and crypto essentially being banned in the US, which could play out in one of 2 ways. Either it's going to kill the crypto market, or the crypto market is going to go on to flourish outside of the US. The third scenario is that the SEC wins and crypto finds a path to regulation where few companies are able to navigate that regulatory framework and they end up flourishing in the US. The fourth scenario is that the SEC loses and the courts say, well, you know what? None of this stuff is a security. Carry on. Keep doing business as you were. That's not a very likely scenario in my view. And the fifth, which is possible, is that Congress might step in and just change the rules. Which scenario happens here? I don't really have that much of a clue. But I've been screaming from the rooftops to be careful with crypto because most of it is like the worst of the penny stock world, but with even less transparency and more sophisticated trading groups working against you. It's like going to battle with a hedge fund that has more money than God and is allowed to just make up their own rules because they own the friggin' exchange. CZ owned most of these market makers on his own exchange. For Binance users, who do you think you were playing against? Market forces or someone with a cheat code? Now, folks, it looks like cryptomania may be finally coming to an end, at least in terms of its ability to function within the US. How this plays out from here, I'm not sure, but I say this on every video covering crypto. If you have it, make sure it's off a centralized exchange because one day you're going to wake up and everything will either be frozen or stolen from you. All right, everybody, let me know what you think. Do you think that the SEC is going to end up successfully putting down the hammer on both Binance and Coinbase? Is this the end of the crypto cycle? Do you think crypto's done for good, or is this just the end of the cycle? Let me know what you think in the comments section. So guys, we just recently launched this channel and we noticed that 99.9% of our viewers are not subscribed. So if you enjoyed this video, we need your help in growing this channel. By subscribing, that would help us keep the lights on and make sure that our crews have jobs in these uncertain times. So please hit that subscribe button and we promise to make more quality videos that I'm sure you're gonna love.